not the results that you were looking for. Obviously, Tech, fairly decent team. You guys are up and coming, but I guess take us through coming from behind again and trying to hang and make a comeback against another team.
Yeah, on the Friday night, obviously they're a good opponent. They're a good team. Not the start we wanted. Obviously, they scored the first shift, and then they scored the last 2 minutes, I think, of the first period. So not the period we wanted to start on the road. Then the second period, we did on top of the first period too. We had to kill 3 penalties. So that's 6 minutes where you're exerting a lot of energy. They do have a good power play. That takes away from creating some offense because you don't have that energy. A lot of our better offensive players are on the penalty kill as well. So I didn't like that. And then in the second period, and even though the shots were only like 9-8 in the first period, it was pretty even. Second period, the shots were pretty even. I thought we missed 3, maybe 4 breakaways. And we've had this conversation last week. We have difficulty scoring, and you need to score at the right times especially on the road and at home. We've been unable to do that. And then in the third period, I thought we made it a game. We scored that shorthanded goal on a breakaway. Then it was all tricked. Then he had another breakaway. Probably I think the next shift out where he had the goalie beat. Had you scored on that, that makes it 3-2. Maybe it's a different game. But I thought, we won the special teams. These are the positives. We took away the Russian transition game. None of their goals were scored off the Russian transition. Whereas our problems in that game were self-inflicted, I thought, with the penalties and the 3 goals that we got. We had the puck on our stick blade, and we're unable to advance the zone. So, and not capitalizing on our chances hurt us. I mean, we outchanced them, and it comes down to we got to obviously score a little bit more.
We've talked about the last couple of weeks, teams scoring the last 30 seconds to a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and going in the locker room, kind of defeated at that point. What do you do? What can you say where you can try to pick the guys back up? Because obviously words, but at the same time, like it's a performance thing. Like you can't give up a goal, minute and a half left in the period, and come out and be fresh on the start period 2 or period 3 or whatever. So what do you tell the guys when something like that happens?
Well, they got to just play better the next shift. And we're teams still learning how to win. Again, we've said this through and through. The upperclassmen that we have in our team, they've never won. So there's a way to win, and there's a process to do it. And we're still going through that. And it's been a tough, obviously, stretch, and we're going through some growing pains, but we are getting better. If you look at our last 3 or 4 games, the shot counts come way down, and our scoring chances the last 2 games, we've outchanced Tech, and we outchanced Augustana on the Saturday night. So that part is good, but still not good enough. So when you have a shift like that and they score a goal, is it deflating? Our guys are getting better at handling that. The only way you can learn is through experience, game experience. And we've addressed it. So the guys are doing better, but it's still not enough.
Rapey kept pointing out Matthew Ward as a guy who just plays hard every time he's on the ice. Just how does his style play kind of boost you guys when he's out there?
Yeah, he's flipped the script. We had just going through some meetings now. It's a big transition for all our freshmen coming in. How hard it is to impact the game at our level, and he struggled probably the first 3 or 4 games we met. And a big part of it for us is practice habits and going as hard as you can in practice to help with your pace and execution. And then the last 4 or 5 games, he's been one of our best players. In fact, we thought he was probably the best player on the ice on Saturday night. He was involved. And the way to measure that is guys like him. It's all about moving your feet, being engaged, and being hard on pucks. And when players have the puck on their stick blade a lot, like he did, you're doing something right. So, he was shot out of cannon on Saturday night against Tech. We carried the play. We scored first. Thought we were the better team for the good 18 minutes. I think they had 1, maybe 2 shots with two minutes left in the third period. And that's how you want to start. Now, we need more guys to jump on board there. And again, find a way to extend the lead in our barn. That's been the theme. But getting back to Matt again, he's been playing some really good hockey for us, So that's real encouraging.
What do you want to focus on going into this bye week here? You have a chance to kind of maybe reset and maybe even do a little bit of reflecting on the first part of the season.
Yeah, we talked about that. It comes whether you win or lose. We've had a tough stretch, obviously a difficult schedule. Um, we're not getting the points, we're not getting the results that we want, but we've said all along it's a process. We're still, last year we started from scratch. This year's a rebuild, and I think the reset's a good word for it. And we just got to put that in the past and continue to get better. Have a good week of getting better on the things we need to get at, maintain our conditioning level. Our guys are still working hard, coming to the rink with smiles on their face. It's frustrating, obviously, with some of the losses. But you know what? We got lots of hockey ahead of us, and we go into Bemidji. That's very good, and we had some success there last year. So it's kind of a decompressor, reset, and feel good about ourselves going into next week.
How do you look at the goaltending situation this far into the season? Both guys have had their ups and downs, and some people might argue Ollie might be the guy going forward. But I think it's kind of split down the middle. How do you view it?
Yeah, we're fortunate enough. They're when they're playing really well, we got a chance to win every single night. I think they've both played 6 games now, and out of the 6 games, I think both of them have played 4 really good games. And I think Ollie's at 93, and Graham's is at 91 and change. And they haven't been the issue. I think they're doing their part and giving us a chance to win every single night. It's good to have 2 guys that can go in there and play. And we need a combination when they're playing well. Our team's got to play well in front of them and give them some run support. We need to score. We need to score some more goals. And the message to our group is it's almost a race to 3. And any coach will say that in this league. It's a race to get to 3, and we've got to find a way to get there. And I think that'll give us the best chance of winning, combined with our good goaltending. And again, our special teams were good this weekend, so we got to continue to be strong there.
You're not allowed to scout this weekend, are you? As in take a short trip up north and learn about your next opponent?
The cutoff is Thursday. So we could go up on the weekend. And but everything's on video, Mike. Everything's on video. Yeah. If the roads are like this and the weather conditions are, I'm not driving up to Bemidji to watch them play in pre-scout. So, but we can go anywhere we want after Thursday.
Slipik out this weekend. Do you have any updates on him?
He's kind of week to week right now. So the rest this week is good for him with Slipik. Cesar too, making some improvement. Those are guys that create offense for us. But it also gives opportunity to other guys to step up to see what they can do. But Graydon's week to week right now. His might be a little bit longer.
Coach, let's talk about how resilient this football team was over the weekend. Obviously, that first half back and forth, you guys were able to take a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They were able to tie it off a couple turnovers, but the way your team stuck with the game plan, ran the football, the resiliency of this team. Take us through your thoughts of that game and how important that win was for this program.
Yeah, it was a great team win. We played together as a team. We fought through adversity during the game with turnovers, and defense stepped up big at in times, and it was just a great team win. You could see the whole thing just kind of come together, and the belief and the feeling that they had was it was awesome. You feel like you didn't really have to do much on the sideline, but just let them play, and they did a great job of taking care of business and getting it done there in the overtimes.
Murphy Monreal, he's had himself really good last month of the season. Talk about his interception, his extension, coming up with it in the end zone, because I was right there on the goal line. You didn't know if they were going to put it at the 1 or give it for the touchback, but he's played some really good football this year.
Yeah, he had a great game. Murph was outstanding. I think at 8 tackles, the forced fumble in overtime, the pick, and that was a good example of complementary football. Defense makes a huge stop. Murph comes up with a big play, and we go down and score off that to put it up by 2 scores there, and right there out of half. And Murph is coming on strong. He's really developed and really excited about his future here, and just he's can do it for one more week, be outstanding.
You've probably had a chance to go back and look at film, but I think it was Jack Schwittel in the first overtime, like literally fingertip away from knocking that away before they caught it and brought it down to the 3. How close was he, and how were you guys able to bounce back from that? Because that was a big 4th down.
Yeah, it just goes back to the word you used earlier, the resiliency of our team, and they believed, and they had the belief in it, and it didn't matter. It was just next play, next play, next play until we got the W there, and I think that was the beauty about our team on Saturday.
How much of a difference did you see in yourselves between the first time you played them, going into the game, and this time going in to play down court?
I think we've gotten better each week, and I think like the guys had the belief. It's a second time around, which is unusual in the Division II football, and I think the guys they knew, and that we've had common scheme already against each other, so we had an idea of what they were doing, and I think we just played off of that a little bit, and were able to just use that to our advantage, and the success, and we knew we had success in the first game. We just had some critical errors that we weren't able to capitalize early on in the season.
You've mostly worked with the offense this year. Defense has been inconsistent at times, but we were just talking about the big plays, making plays when it matters most. What did that say about that group defensively on Saturday?
I mean, it just goes back to the playing your best this play, and I think they did a great job of making those crucial plays in big moments, and I think they really stepped up in certain situations and did a really good job with that. And I was super proud of them and really the whole team as a whole.
Over the course of last week going into the game, how did you see the team come together amongst the players, and did that have an impact on Saturday, the way they came out and played?
I think from fall camp, our player led team is the culture that we built, and I think it was a chance for it finally came through, and it showed from a totality standpoint. But I think we have great leaders on the team. We have great kids, and they were just excited to play, and they always play for one another, and I thought it was really just a really good environment for that to finally come all together.
You got a winnable game coming up Saturday, and I know there's nothing more than you would want than a second straight win. How do you prepare for winning?
Yeah, just like any other game. I mean, we got to go out and do our process Monday through Friday and worry about ourselves, and do what we need to do to get better, to make the corrections from last week, and go out there and just play our football and worry about us. It's how we play, not who we play, and I think our guys have really bought into that, and I think that's the key to us coming and playing really well on Saturday.
It's having that senior day kind of motivate not just your seniors, but the rest of the guys to make sure, hey, we want to send these guys out the right way, and on top of that, build momentum going into next year.
Yeah, 100%. I think you always want to end your seniors want to go out on a good note, and we want to get a win in the dome, and send them out the right way. And I think our guys will play for them, and play for everybody in that group. So it's a big deal. That's their last go around playing college football, and it's a pretty special experience. So our job as the underclassmen and the staff is to try to make sure that they have that experience to go out the right way.
I'll ask it. Noah Dobert,
Yeah.
243 yards. I mean, the team rushing record is on the line this weekend. What does that mean to this team with all the rushing success that you guys have had, that this team could hold that rushing record?
I think
Was it like 300 yards total as a team?
say again.
For the team record, is it 300 yards? Is it 250?
No, we're 3 yards away from this.
3 yards.
3 yards away from
Okay.
the school record.
You
So
think you get those 3 yards?
yeah, that's the goal. So I think we gotta get 4. Zach can confirm that for me, but yeah, it means a lot to our guys, and it's the pride for like our offensive line, and to set something and be there, and we've accomplished a lot in the run game this year, and they don't want to just break it. They want to get to their goals to exceed it by a lot, and I don't know what that'll look like on Saturday, but yeah, they're really fired up about it, and we just got to keep grinding away and but they know they gotta do their job and one play at a time, and we'll see what that stat line looks like. And I think also they want to come away with the most important one is getting the victory on Saturday.
And I'll bring that to attention because it's been since 2022 that the team has won here in the Dome, and I've got to know like a Chris Bornhoff over the last couple of years. What does that game Saturday mean to him? A guy that's on the line, a guy that's really assisted helping this run game the last couple of years to go out there and play his last game at the Superior Dome here in Marquette Saturday.
I think it means a lot to them. I think they want to leave on a good note and help set the trajectory of the future of what NMU football is going to look like. So I think it's a big deal to those seniors, and especially the guys that have been through the grind.
The tough times.
Yeah.
I guess talk about that line and what this rushing record means to them or could mean to them, assuming they get those 4 yards.
I mean, O-linemen, they're the most selfless people on the field. They go out and they just go to work every day, and they don't complain about anything. They're tough, and it's just fun. And this is something that they can hang their hat on and tell their children and tell their family, like, I was a part of this that started something really special, here at NMU. So I think it means a lot to them, and they're going to do everything they can to accomplish that. And it should be fun to watch on Saturday.
Was there a point this year where you realized that it was clicking with this offense, and guys, whether they're on the line or backs, were getting it and it was really working? Did you notice that shift at any point this year?
Yep. You could see it just kind of start to build right through the season, and I think, we go to Saginaw, and we started slow, and then we started to come on at the end, and then we play here at Tech, and we have a good day of rushing, but we're just like one play away, and then we go to Ferris State, and you can see hey, we're moving the ball and the confidence, and all of a sudden it kept going and going. But I think a lot of good stuff. I think really probably the Roosevelt game when it kind of exploded there was that. But you can just see each week there's the details of it just get better and better, and it's a really hard thing to stop once it gets rolling.
I don't know how much you guys were together yesterday, but do you sense this week that the guys are kind of loose, knowing we just got one more game to throw it all out there with maybe some uncertainty about where it goes next year or whatever, that we got 60 minutes to play with each other at home? Do you feel that this week?
I think they want to end it on the right note, and they're hungry to win. They got a good taste of it here, this weekend, and I don't think they want to let that go. And I thought, we had a walkthrough last night, and I thought the focus was a relaxed but very sharp and intentional focus, and you can feel like they're ready to rock and roll. And I wish we could roll the ball out tomorrow and go, but I think they're excited and ready to get after it here.
You talk about focus. How do you keep the team focused and not necessarily scoreboard watching with what happened last week with Roosevelt beating Wayne State? And Wayne State's been in some close games too. I do want to point that out, but a lot of people, they're looking at this game, they're like, we should win. How do you keep the focus to make sure you do win?
Well, you never should win a game. You have to play ball, and it goes down to they're a really good football team. They're super talented. They're fast, and if we don't come out and play our game, like it's gonna, it's a Division II college football game. So, we never should win a football game. We have to go out and prepare Monday through Friday to give ourselves a chance to be successful. And I think our guys know that, and that's the most important thing.
Well, you're coming off a huge weekend, and it kind of, at least the way I've kind of viewed it, is it kind of looks like it's kind of a gauntlet going towards the end of the season here. We kind of just talked about it with football. How do you kind of keep your team focused going into this last stage of the season?
We're still playing for a lot. There is a world where we're hosting the entire GLIAC tournament, right? We need a lot of things to go our way, but the path exists. I wouldn't say the percentage chance is 1%. I would say it's more like 4%, but it's there. It's there. And, I think the bigger picture that we are genuinely in the driver's seat for is hosting the quarterfinals. And that would require us to take care of business this weekend. So the focus will be there. We went through a lot of very difficult times this season, right? We were 1-9. We lost 26 sets in a row. Pretty tough stuff. And now we're starting to play the way we're capable of playing. And so I think the motivation to show up every day is there because we're seeing the fruits of our labor pay off, right? With Friday's win over Ferris. And then we validated again on Saturday against a good Davenport team that's leading the league defensively, and we outdug them by a significant margin. And so I think this team's hungry to keep playing. And so we're kind of, we always are hoping that when you get to early November that the team is still motivated and playing hard and as healthy as you can be. And we're kind of in that position. So I see no reason for the team to show up giving us anything less than their best and being motivated to do so. So I think we're in a good position.
Is it sometimes more gratifying for a coach to be 1-9 and go through really tough times like you did in the beginning of the year and come out of that? Now you guys are 500, then would be to just go through the motions and be winning, but just not have that turn, that shift. Just what has that been like for you?
Well, the days were dark for a while, right? When you're losing 26 sets in a row, you run out of ways between sets to be like, we're okay, we're good, like just keep plugging away. And so, of course, the redemption story is great, but tell me that a month and a half ago that we'd be in the position we're in, and I would have said, I don't know, right? You still got to trust the process. You got to go through those things, and you give coach speak. But when we were 1-9, and things just weren't going our way, like I was having a little bit of self-doubt, and it was truly the team that got me through it. Like after our last two losses in that stretch, I had one player before we played Ferris. We ended up losing that match, but we were at Ferris, kind of like be like, let's go, like let's pick it up. And then that Monday after the Ferris match, one of my athletes called a meeting with me and was like, "We need you now. Like we need you to lead us." And those were two pretty like monumental moments, not only in this season, but I would say in my coaching career. To have athletes come to me and say like, basically like, "You're our rock. We need you to be our rock." Was really, it was in the moment kind of like not humbling, maybe, I don't know what the word would be, but it really kind of motivated me. It kind of rejuvenated me, and the wins aren't necessarily tied to those moments, but how I've coached from those moments to now has definitely been influenced by those conversations, and conversations I'll carry forever in my coaching career. And so yes, now knowing how the season played out, I think we're in a much better place than the reverse happened, right? Like, what if we start, 12-4, and then we go 1-9, and now I'm sitting here going, who are we? And I talk about this a lot, but every team has an inflection point. At some point in their season, rubber meets the road, and you got to figure out, am I going in the direction of we're plowing through and we're pushing through and we're persevering, or are we leaning into the bad and our season's kind of going to fade away? And we were fortunate, to your point, and that after 10 matches into the season, we had to have that conversation. I know there are teams in our conference, in our region, that are just now facing that inflection point of how is this going to end? And I have no doubt with our team how this season's going to end. We're going to play our butts off. We're going to give it everything we have. And I know, given the results, that we can beat anybody in our conference. And you're talking about, a Ferris team, a Grand Valley team. We're two of the best teams in the region, and we knocked them both off. So to sit here and think anything less than us, pushing to win a GLIAC tournament championship, I think would be foolish on our part, and that's how we're going to approach it.
Speaking of that, would you say this league feels like anybody could win this championship this year, especially with the way it's kind of been going the last few weeks, barreling towards the end of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, this has been, I've been coaching in the GLIAC since 2013, and this has been the most chaotic year I've ever been a part of. Right, there are three teams tied at 11-3. We're sitting there at 10-4, and we're 11-3 if we take care of business against Wayne State at home when we lose 17-15 in the fifth set. If we win that match, which we had 2 match points, win that match, we're literally playing this weekend for a GLIAC championship. A team that started 1-9, lost 26 sets in a row, found a way to be in a position now where we are playing meaningful volleyball at the end of the season. It's pretty cool. And with the chaos that is ensuing in our conference, there is no doubt that the teams that are 6, 7, 8 can knock off 1, 2, 3 for sure. And so every match you have to be mentally and physically and emotionally prepared to compete, because if you don't, for sure the team on the other side can knock you off. So I think we're in a good place with the way we're playing. I think a month ago people wanted to play Northern Michigan. I think now everyone's afraid to come play Northern Michigan, especially in our gym. So we're going to do everything we can to extend that season.
And you and I kind of talked about this when we were shoveling the snow on the soccer
Yeah.
pitch this weekend, was getting hot at the right time. And it doesn't matter the sport. Nobody wants to play you when you're starting to heat up, especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah. The thing I always think about is the hockey analogy. You don't want to play a hot goalie, right? A hot goalie can win you a Stanley Cup. That same idea, a hot defender, a hot libero, Lisa Haugen, she's got 38 digs against Davenport. I think she had 25 or 26 the day before against Ferris. It's very demoralizing as an offense when the other team just continues to get the ball off the ground. They can really frustrate teams. And what happens is when you keep the ball off the ground, teams want to press, right? That first swing didn't work. I'm going to hit it harder. I'm going to hit it more down. I'm going to hit it in this spot. And that can create errors. And so I think right now, we're one of the hottest defenses in the league. And so I hope we can kind of ride that to victory, because offensively we have to be very, very spread out to be successful, right? Every once in a while, like Sid Bartles had a huge match against Ferris. I think the week before, Mackenzie Gruner had a huge week. So there are people that are rising to the occasion, but our ultimate success will be if we spread the wealth, the way we did against Davenport. I think we had 5 people with double-digit kills. And so that's what it's going to take. And like you said, like we're playing the best volleyball we've played all year right now, or at least we did this past weekend. So we just got to kind of try to find a way to harness that and keep it going.
Well, first and foremost, talk about how big, huge community win that was
Yeah.
for everybody on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it. Really, was just the amazing amount of support. People getting out there at 9 a.m. shoveling, and by the time I got there, a quarter of the field was shoveled, and there was 30 people or so, and I was like, well, that was really encouraging. We were like, okay, we can get this thing going, and people just kept coming, and you saw all the head coaches coming down. You saw Billy, who just won his first game in 4 overtimes, and I'm sure they got back late, and he was out there with his shovel, and so it was just an amazing, community, organic thing that happened that we'll remember for a really long time. And then everybody stayed, and then we went to overtime and made them stay longer, and so it was just a really epic day for sure, especially from the community. So, yeah.
You talked about, you just had so many congratulations over the weekend, but you said it doesn't mean anything yet. It's still a game. You
Yep.
still have to go finish the job this weekend.
Mhm.
And, you've had some really tight-knit contests with Roosevelt. It's kind of in a weird territory, though. It's a neutral site, but it's also, it's win or go home.
Right.
And you have a shot to play for the championship on Sunday.
Right. Yeah, Roosevelt's a good team. They were in the race for the title up until the last game. I think both times we played them, it was a chippy, physical, 1-goal game affair, and it's going to be the same here. So for the last month, we've been focusing on ourselves and making sure we do the right things and we focus on the right things. So it's not really going to be about Roosevelt. It's going to be about us again. They've been sitting at home waiting, and they're healthy and recovered and fresh, and we're coming off a overtime emotional, day. So, right now you got to say that they've got sort of the advantage that they're going to be healthy and rested, and we're going to be the team that's still trying to find rhythm early on in the game. So I'd give the advantage to them on that. But as we know, soccer's a weird sport. We were up 2-0 in the first 12 minutes and didn't win the game, at the end of the day. So you never know. But Roosevelt's good. It's a good matchup for us. I think they were both ball possession teams. Saginow's a great surface. So I think it's just going to be a really, really good game, and hopefully we come out on top.
What did you think about the performance that Soft Crystal had in that? He was just an absolute warrior, I thought, in that game on Sunday.
Yeah. If you ask the goalkeepers, diving in that shootout was hard, right? Because you'd stood there for 3 hours in 30-degree, wind chills. It was hard to get explosion off those dives. So for him to come up with that big save on number 2 is huge. But he's been rock solid all year, so I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, that's just the performance that's now we expect of him. That's why we brought him in. We wanted a guy in the one position that had leadership and maturity, could understand the gravity of the situation. He's so good with the guys off the field. He's just a very soft person. His character is just so welcoming. Very different than the way he is on the field. So when he's between the lines, he's a different beast. And I think you need that in a goalkeeper. So he was great. He was huge. And we expect that again on Friday.
Were you a little bit surprised with how the game played out in that weather with the 4 goals all in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And then how did it kind of shift and you guys were able to settle in and
Yeah, it was
keep it 2-2?
Yeah, it was a weird one. Yeah, we came out firing, we got the goals, but there were some warning signs. We had an injury in a back line in warm-ups, and we weren't sure that James was 100% at the beginning of the game, and kind of kept going that way. So once we kind of settled that position, took James out and made some adjustments in the back line, we stopped giving away some of those chances. So I think there was an injury situation that kind of led to that sort of down moment. But yeah, I mean, at that point it's 2-2 and everything to play for. What I was really pleased with, though, was our response to letting in the second equalizing goal, because what a deflating moment, right? You got all these people here for you, up 2-0, and now all of a sudden you've wasted that 2-0 lead in a matter of moments. So it was like, okay, well, where do we go from here? And they responded really well. I mean, Rosen had one cleared off the line minutes later. We had an offsides goal called back that was really, really close. We had another really close header right before half. So the response to giving up the equalizer was great. But yeah, I definitely everything about that day surprised me, to be fair. All my expectations were out the window. So, but we've got to do a better job. All year long, it's been us scoring first and not closing the door enough times. Certainly run enough to be here, but how many times have we sat here and said, hey, we scored the first goal, but we haven't won the game. And I think that's going to be the true test. If we get up on Roosevelt, we can't let them back in the game. And that's the only way we're going to get a title this weekend is if we do that.
You mentioned Carr was hurt during warm-ups. What's the status on him?
I think he's good, yeah. It's just like kind of a dead leg, right? So when it's 30 degrees and your quad's got a dead leg, it's tough to really get going. So yeah, he's good to go.
Was there any point in that game where you might have sat there and said, I don't know who is going to end this, whether it's for Purdue Northwest or Northern?
At what point, in the shootout or in the middle of the game?
Probably any time after it was 2-2. So from any time in the second, the end of the first half all the way to that shootout.
No, I just believe we were going to win the whole time, honestly. We had chances. I thought we were the better side. I had full confidence in us. And then when we got to the shootout, again, full confidence. We trained it. We worked through it. We went through multiple full penalty kick shootouts. We put Laundry on the line for those guys, so there was a little something there. So I just believe that they were going to get the job done, as hard as it was at that time to do so. But I just thought we were the better side. I thought we were better in overtime. We had more chances in overtime. We had a couple really, really close ones. So again, we were the team on the ascent going into penalties. So and again, we got up in penalties and we're close to killing up 2, and then we tied it up. So I think we just really like to extend things here. That's my only answer to that one.
I know you guys have been focused very much inward the past couple of weeks down the stretch of the season. But what's it like playing these teams like back-to-back Purdue Northwest? Roosevelt, you just recently saw it too.
Right.
Now you got them again.
Yeah.
I guess you come to expect it when you're in postseason conference
Yeah.
tournament. But what is it like prepping for them right after you just saw it?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we just watched the game that we just played, and we're kind of analyzing both things. So the things that we saw the first time we played Purdue, we trained all week and went and we got those moments early. So they figured out the game plan and went for it. And then the way they scored was the way we trained. Hey, if you do this, they're going to get chances. And sure enough, that's what happened. So it's I think both a blessing and a curse. You can see the matchup that you just played, you get to do it again, but also it's a curse because the kids are fired up. I mean, when Purdue left here a week ago, like they were excited to come back because they wanted revenge. So that's a tough thing, that team was up for it. So same with Roosevelt. I mean, we destroyed their chances of winning the regular season title. So you can expect a team that's ready to kick us on Friday. And this is a GLIAC men's soccer playoff game, so I would expect nothing less. So
what's it mean, or is there any difference playing on a neutral site compared to playing on a home field?
Yeah, I think it's a huge benefit to us to not have to go play the host team, which is Saginaw, and get to play a neutral site. So I think that was a huge benefit to us getting that third seed was, hey, now we go through Roosevelt, not Saginaw in the semifinal. So I think that's good. It's a good field. It's a good surface for us to play. So no team's got the home field advantage, but we're in Michigan, so I give a little bit to us.
You got a berth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard sometimes when they take the top three and you're sitting four and you don't know.
Yes.
But obviously the reaction was good.
Yep.
How does everybody kind of break it down that you got in?
Yeah, well, I mean, our region turns out, is really strong. So even the team behind us, Walsh, got in. So the top five got in. So I knew it was a pretty good shot just based on some of the other teams we've beaten for the at-large spot. But it's exciting to find out. And I was thinking yesterday, it was like kind of fun in a way that we did have to wait and find out because it was kind of the anticipation. And we had everybody we had the group get together. And even though they don't announce it like verbally, they send a thing, so we had it up on the screen, and we had a bunch of balloons and stuff, all streamers, and so it was kind of exciting once we found out for sure, and everybody was, super excited.
Were you happy the way you ran at the regional?
Yeah, I mean it was it was muddy. It had rained a bunch the night before. It was slippery, and it is a tough course as it is, but we ran solid. We ran faster. All 7 of them ran faster than they did earlier in the season on that same course. Maddie beat some people that she didn't beat at conference, so she had a solid race. Ashley also was right in there, and then the rest of the group, they kind of switched positions, and that's kind of been what it's been like all season. That's why we have so much depth on that team. So a few of them had their best race of the year. A few of them still had solid races, but not their best. So I was really happy with that whole group too. And the teams ahead of us now they redid a ranking, kind of a different unofficial one, but they're, Grand Valley's ranked number 1, and Cedarville's ranked Cedarville's ranked number 8, and Lewis is ranked number 10 in the country. So strong region, so we're not that far behind them. So definitely should still be in that 12th to 15th, I think. And who knows? We know the course, better than a lot of them. We've been there now. It's all familiar, and I think it's going to be, we're going to be ready for our best day still.
Did you guys have that in your mind going into regionals? Like top 5 were probably good, or is it more so like we just gotta run our best and worry about getting better from conference?
Yeah, I mean we did, of course, because there was all that stuff out there, and we knew, and all the things we read. If we finished in the top 5, we could make it to nationals, and so. But we tried to stay away about thinking about that, and just focus on and that's what we talked about, is just do what we've been doing, and we every meet we've been focusing on like a few teams that we were trying to beat, and so we hadn't yet gone against Lewis and Cedarville, so and Walsh was the other one, so we were kind of we knew Cedarville was really strong. Lewis and Walsh were the 2 we thought had an outside chance to beat, or a good chance to beat, if depending, and Lewis had a great day, so they kind of stepped up even farther, but we beat Walsh. So we were focused on those teams, and also, again, the Grand Valley, part of the Grand Valley, because Maddie was she was behind their top 7, but she ended up beating 2 of them at this meet versus at conference. So she was we kind of readjusted how she was going to run and see if she could beat some of them. And so definitely tried to focus on running the best we could, and look at those other teams without thinking about and then that hopefully that fourth or fifth would come, and the 4th turned out 4th. So we were really happy, and then I knew we had a pretty 99% chance that we would be in.
Yeah. Remind me, did you guys run the course that you're going to be on for nationals in Kenosha? Is it?
Yeah, so that's where we had our regionals. Plus, we went to a meet in September that was there. That was the Lucian Rosa. So this will be our 3rd running on that course.
So how does that help?
It helps a lot because we adjusted even how we ran the first time around, and made a difference. So now we have two different race experiences on that course, and some of the kids have some from last year too. So they know it really well, kind of know where to push, where to be controlled, and then where to back off a little bit, and kind of then we went. Even this time we walked backwards even though we had run the course, but then we walked backwards and looked even closer at the whole last half mile to kind of see the spots that we really could, push and maybe make up some time even at the end.
Does the host site get in? Like, is Parkside going to get in, or is it just more of like they still have to qualify? It's just the host site.
Yeah, they're just the host site. Yeah, because it's just so each year people bid to have the nationals, and it's one of the only few specific cross country courses in the country. A lot of places you run on a golf course or whatever, but it's actually a cross country. That's what it's meant to be. So they've hosted a lot of nationals, a lot of high school, those NXR, all kinds of events. So yeah, Parkside, they were ranked number 2 in the conference early in the year, and they finished 6th, and then they didn't make it. They had a couple athletes that were close to making it individually, but they didn't make it.
You're getting W's.
Double news or W's. Oh, okay. Yes, we are getting W's. Yeah, it was a good weekend versus Wayne State. The men and women won on Friday, and then the women won on Saturday. And the men were close on Saturday, which was good because Wayne State's usually a pretty solid team. But we had a few people out, injury, illness, flus going around campus. So, but I'm looking forward to that. We were that close. And hopefully at conference we'll have everybody healthy and ready to go. Yeah, it was a good weekend. Kalina and Annika Wright got GLIAC Athletes of the Week, so that was another one that was pretty excited about, for sure.
What was it about their performances over the weekend that were really strong and really impressed you?
Yeah, Kalina's just been so solid all year. She won all 4 boards in diving. And, not by a little. So she's substantially, handles those really well. She's just diving so consistent. Really excited to see her. We have a Calvin invite coming up in a month. So I'm excited to see her get back there and some more competition. Annika Wright was pretty dominant all weekend. She won all her events and just swam really well, and she's a distance swimmer, so she had a lot of events to swim, and every one she just stepped up and was competitive and really great to watch.
When one swimmer's having a dominant weekend like that, is it kind of a rising tide lifts all boats situation where the team is kind of feeding off of that too?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always thought like sometimes the most important race is that first one. After you win the medley relay, then everybody kind of breathes a sigh of relief, right? Like we're going to be okay and we're swimming well and it's going to be fine. It kind of lifts that pressure off for sure. But yeah, you can totally feed off each other.
What stood out to you as positives from this weekend? What were you really impressed by with your team?
I think I mentioned this last week. Like we're really focused on competitive behavior over result. Now I think we had some very notable results in there, but the development from week 1 to week 2, seeing a lot of the things that we're trying to implement in training upstairs and on a day-to-day basis, seeing that kind of come out was awesome. I'm a stats follower a little bit, so the things that we're trying to implement, I think we competed well last weekend, but we'll put some tweaks in there. Our win percentage went up 14% as a team, from week 1 to week 2. I think we sat about 66% win percentage this weekend, and there's still cleanup to go, but their coachability, and just kind of them being open to what we're trying to build into the wrestling and seeing that come through was huge.
Yeah. Do you feel like here early in the year that can be a little bit of a launch pad with just seeing some good results? You mentioned the win percentage going up.
Yeah.
Just seeing that from week 1 to week 2, does it have people feeling good about where each individual wrestler can go?
Yeah, I think we've been talking a lot about these matches in November. Like if you're competitive, winning always matters, right? But we're looking for data a little bit more, right? Like I look at Michaela Keene, right? She could look at the result side and say, man, I went 0-2 in the tournament. Well, we feel like she lost to 2 top 15 girls in the country, and they were competitive matches, and there's good data to come out of that. So we could look at the result and be like, man, the sky's falling a little bit. 0-2's not doesn't feel good leaving a tournament, but you could have a different perspective on that. And then the second part of that is, my partnership, Coach Markinson's partnership with the athletes is still fresh, right? Like this hasn't been a full season, right? We're still, I think, as results and there becomes more proof in the pudding, I guess, if you would, that there's a little bit more trust and belief in what we're trying to do as results tick up. And I think as they get more comfortable with that relationship and that partnership, then that brings confidence into the wrestling, confidence in the direction of where we're going, and that's where we're at. So I think that's a healthy balance right now.
During a match, what do you look for as signs, or this is going to go well, or this needs to get fixed right now, or this isn't going to go our way? What, as a coach, during a meet, what are you looking for in particular?
Yeah, preparation is huge. Like I think some of that starts, and how they manage their weight, getting to the scale, how they manage their warm up and their recovery coming off the scale, their pre-match warm up, their confidence, their willingness to wrestle full matches, their emotional control, their focus, like what their map is. Are they following their map in matches? And sometimes that leads to points. Sometimes that is just like being like really disciplined throughout the match. And I think of Zavana Magdaleno in match 1 this week. She won 2-1. All the points were on shot clocks, which maybe you want to score some takedowns and that type of thing. But after reviewing film and having conversation with them, throughout the weekend, that might have been my favorite match of the whole weekend, because those are things that we've been stressing, right? Of having the confidence to wrestle in position and not to be able to visibly see the pressure coming on in matches, if that makes sense, right? Where they're wrestling to a game plan, you see kind of them getting into similar positions, and that's strategic. And I want to make sure as we're competing that there's strategy and tactic along with our competition, rather than just, I call it spinning the wheel and trying to score points, right? Like I was really happy with the team and just how we conducted our business in matches, whether if we won or lost. I felt like we had a good roadmap to try to be the most successful that we could be.
Best time of the year for you, or how do you feel going into it?
Honestly, not great. You're convinced that you're going to go 0-28. You're looking at the schedule going, we're probably losing every one of these things, and we're not ready, and I'm a terrible coach, and should get into selling insurance. Like, no, that's honestly, that's how you feel. And once you get the first one out of the way, you kind of are over it, and you're just trying to get better and trying to prepare for the next game. But there's definitely like that doubt every year at the start of it, and I think every coach has that to a degree. And I think you struggle to talk about it when you're starting out, but now I at least feel I can admit it. So yeah, no, there's a lot of doubt. You're excited, but you just don't know. You don't know what that first game's going to look like when the ball gets thrown up.
You do have some knowns, because you have 3 fifth-year seniors that have been with you for 5 years.
Yep.
And those guys, all 3 of them outstanding last year. Just how helpful is that, having the veteran leadership experience?
Yes.
Championships and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's been huge. I think those 3 guys, everything they've done for us up to this point, and then deciding to come back, to me, obviously that's the storyline of our off season. I think it's the storyline of our year, is in today's day and age of college basketball, having 3 guys decide to return for their 5th year, even though they graduated and all have their degrees from Northern, so they're all going to grad school here. And the major reason they all came back is to play basketball again with each other, which I think's sweet and cool. They turned down some pretty good opportunities. Obviously, Dylan's more so than the others turned down some crazy financial opportunities, and for them to do that because they love it here and love each other and love the program and love the town, that's the coolest part about our team and our season. And it's probably the most significant thing we've accomplished, more so than any of the championships, at least for me, is those guys just wanting to be here and coming back.
As a coach, does it kind of put ease on you, like taking away some of that doubt, having those 3 guys up front, having the guys that have had the moments in those big games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yes, it does. I mean, realistically, when I am going, we're probably going 0-28. I'm like, I bet those guys will win us a couple games at least. So we'll be okay. No, I think, you fall back on kind of those guys knowing what they're doing and being comfortable and knowing what the league looks like, maybe even more so when you get into conference play. I think it's even more valuable to have guys that have been through it. They're not going to quit because they have gone through some ups and downs in their careers and come out on the other side of it. They're going to be dependable leaders and practice every day hard. So there's a lot of things that you definitely can fall back on having those three guys. And, I really like some of the other older guys we have. And so I think there's definitely a core group there of experienced players that I trust that we will, do things the right way and compete and all the things that are necessary.
Does some of that doubt maybe kind of stem from how wild this conference can get too, especially towards the other half of the season?
Yeah, I think for sure. And the other part is basketball is so different than other sports because all five guys you're not doing a job, you're playing off of other people. So it's really difficult to imagine what that looks like when you see it in practice against yourselves. It's one thing, but I have no idea exactly how we're going to play off of other people. I'll say this, our offense has looked at times the best our offense has ever looked, and we've had some elite offenses. The ball moves in a way at times that I've never seen before. When we throw it up from the three-point line, it tends to go in more than last year by a high clip. So that sometimes makes everything better when you shoot and the ball goes in. We know those guys can finish pretty well. So there's a lot of really good signs there. It's just, what is it going to look like when Maryville or Umsel run two guys at the ball and we kick it to a corner? Are we going to be comfortable with that? Because we don't see that all the time. We're going to find out. And if we are, it doesn't mean we're awesome. And if we don't, it doesn't mean we suck. It just means that's how the first game went. And then you just got to take it one game at a time, which sounds boring, but unfortunately it's how it works.
Talking about the off-season conditioning, I saw the guys over the summer, and they looked pretty thin and muscular, and I felt like they didn't really take the off-season as an off-season. I thought they looked pretty good coming into their first games of the season.
Yeah, I really liked what we did between, when they got back home. I thought most of them made the right adjustments to their body that they needed to make, and I think that's a sign of mature players knowing what they need. So, some need to just gain mass, some need to get stronger but don't need to gain mass, some need to, get in better shape. And I thought everyone who needed something did what they needed to do.
Talk about Kleshman a little bit, because obviously Michigan State, he was injured last year during that game, and having a full off season with him for him to get better and be part of it. Hopefully there's no injuries this weekend, but he's be a big factor of this team.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about the big three guys returning, but he's definitely the fourth guy. And our season flipped when he came back last year. And last year he was our second best analytical on-off player on our team after Dylan. And he was bad at traditional stats. He didn't shoot it well. I don't think he's an elite defender, but his presence, both his energy and his toughness and his ability to be a threat to shoot it, changed the floor and made our team way better. And so now it's, okay, we have him back. We know his value. But now if he makes more shots and he's quicker and more dynamic than he was last year, we asked him to play a freshman year after not having played for a year and a half and having 2 days of practice before we threw him in. He's had a full off season. I mean, he looks different and better. And I'm anticipating that you see a different version of him. But now he has had that experience in the league too, so he kind of checks both boxes there. And I think one other thing with just kind of our team is we're starting to have some guys that, he had 4 to 61 offers coming out of high school. There's a reason for that. Dylan had 150 illegal portal offers last year. There's a reason for that. Bennett had 8 D1 offers. There's or whatever it was, 3, 5. Trevor had we just have more of those guys, and obviously that kind of sets your ceiling. And Cal, there's a reason that he had all that interest, and then the injuries happened, and the healthy version of him looks looks a little bit different than some guys we've had in the past. So definitely excited to see what that looks like for a full season.
Is Charlie Miller a true point guard? How do you envision his role?
Yeah, yes, I didn't know that coming in. I was, that one's fun. Again, a great college basketball modern portal era story is I didn't know anything about Charlie. Like Max just would annoy me and text me and say, "Hey, I have this buddy who's good. You need to take him." And Max and me have stayed obviously very close. And I Max is not an overtly positive person. It's probably one of the things that we have in common. So for him to keep saying someone's good probably means they're pretty good. So Charlie showed up to campus. We took him basically on Max's recommendation, and Ben Jacobson, who obviously I trust him a little bit more than Max, which is so between those two, I said, all right, well, we'll give this thing a try, and it turns out they were right. He's pretty darn good, and we're very, very lucky to have him. And in this Portal Combat era, having some luck on your side and having some people outside of your own program that are trying to help you and working for you is really important. And but yeah, I think he's been more Pier 1 than I thought. He's more combo than just a point guard, but he has a lot in common with, I think, a lot of the good guards we've had in the past.
I know that you guys have a really tough schedule this weekend, and you guys schedule tough for a reason, and that's to get you ready for March. I also know that the team about 90 minutes north of us also has played some tough competition. How much are you watching them and getting game film on them and seeing what they have done?
Well, we're definitely not watching them in the standpoint of trying to prep for them yet. I'm going bald and gray. I don't need to like try to make that process go faster by watching any Michigan Tech film yet that way. But what I will say is like this late start we've had to this year, I've been glued in on that opening weekend D2 games. And then the low D1 games that started. Just I think the more I can watch and see the flow and the rhythm of games, the more comfortable I know I'm going to be going into the first game. Just kind of what mistakes did everyone make in their first game that we can prevent? I feel like first games and first weekends, there's just so many mistakes, and seeing other teams' mistakes and also things that worked, I think is a great reminder of like what we need to focus on heading in. So the Tech stuff, for example, they didn't play offense very well, but they beat 2 of the top 10 teams in the country or whatever. Well, they found a way to win despite not playing offense very well by leaning on their superstar and just guarding their butts off. Is that something we need to do? I don't know. If we have to get Dylan, Mark's got 34, 36 shots, something like that. If we got to get Dylan 37 or 8, I'm fine, whatever, as long as we win the game by 1. So I think you take some stuff away from it, but it's definitely not in a standpoint of like, oh, I'm prepping for them, because by the time we play, we're both going to be such different teams.
The rivalry's going to be going this year, more so than it is in football and hockey.
I think it's been a long time in basketball too that going into the year, it's been clear 1v2. Feels like an inevitable thing. We played 4 times last year. They kicked our butts at home last year by 30. We kicked their butts at home the year before by 30. We beat them in the semis of the conference tournament on their floor for their first home loss of the year. They beat us in the NCAA tournament and ended our year. Like, it's cool. It's what it's supposed to be. And last year, I think, was the first year where we were both good. They were better than us, but we were both really good. This is the first year, I think, going into the year, it's obvious that we're both where we're at, and it should be a lot of fun. And the other beautiful part about it is for other teams, they have to come here on the weekend and play both of us, and that's a huge advantage versus when one of us is up or down, they tend to focus more on the team that's up. Well, good luck with that. So I think there's some cool parts there that is beneficial to us. And even this weekend, we traveled the non-conference stuff enough together. Umsel and Maryville, they have to prep for Tech and us. That's not a super enviable task to have, having to prep for both of us. So hopefully it helps us in some ways too.
How much fun was it? Just the whole weekend, take me through, the feeling when you get those victories, early in the year to start off the year like that, just what was it like with those girls?
It was awesome from the very start. I think they were just excited to get on a plane to start the year. We flew down. We had like a little opening ceremony the very first night we were there, and I think that kind of got things started. The juices were flowing. I think the nerves were flowing. Our opening gate. I think the first game that we played, it was a little nerve wracking. You could tell that people were a little tense with what we were doing. But then finally, we just kind of settled down that second half, and we really took it at them, which was fun. Then going to Gannon at Gannon, and going to Edinburgh at Edinburgh, 2 home games for them, and against really good teams. Our team just was fired up and ready to go each game, and we played a lot of people. So 3 games back to back to back is not easy, but I think the adrenaline kicked in and the energy kicked in, and yeah, we played really well. Very very proud of what we did and how we did things, but. We got a long way to go yet, and we got some things we got to fix, but it was a great first weekend.
It was 3 very different ball games the way they won too, because
Yes.
you were able to make shots on Friday. Then on Saturday, you went in a scoring slump the last 5 minutes or so, but hung on to win. And then on Saturday, you guys just dominated that fourth quarter.
Yep.
I guess
Yep.
take us through each victory and the way you won each game and how that helps the team.
Oh, it was each game was a huge learning game, right? Like that's all we're trying to do right now is just get a little bit better. I think the first game was a lot of nerves and a lot of just kind of still figuring things out a little bit. And they were a tough team, and the other best part about it is our team just kept battling. They were being resilient each game, and it was different things that were getting thrown at us. And it was interesting just to see kind of how we reacted. We never really got rattled, which I think is really huge. Having 5 seniors and 5 leaders on the court that can really kind of keep us calm. I mean, CJ Romero, she played some minutes, but she was probably just our huge sounding board for us. They would go on these runs and she's like, hey, we got this, coach, we're good, and just kind of kept us even keel the whole time. But yeah, it was 3 totally different games. And the ups and the downs that games are going on runs and they're going on runs and we were going on runs. And, it was fun though. Just our team, our energy, our bench energy, and everybody was involved. And we played a lot of people and people were putting in great minutes for us. And I told them it's like 3 quality team wins. We needed everybody to get those victories.
Gannon wasn't afraid to shoot that 3 ball either.
No, no.
You
I
guys
think they had
I-
28 attempts, I think.
Honestly, and just watching the games on the big screen at home, I thought you guys did a tremendous job boxing out. Is that one of your concerns? Because it's not necessarily you guys don't have a 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" player. How much did that impress you with the way you're able to box out against a team like Gannon that's firing away?
Well, I think my team is sick of me saying it because that was kind of our focus the 2 weeks prior. Just knowing that we don't have that size and that height. We do have a little bit, but we don't have, we don't, like you said, we don't have the 6'3". We don't have the 6'2" kid who's going to go in there and grab us 10 a game. Alyssa Hill came out strong in that first game. She ended up with 12 rebounds and 8 points for us, which was huge. But even our guards boxing out against Gannon and not giving them the second chances and third chances, I think they still ended up with 13 offensive boards. But we had 26 defensive rebounds, and I think they only had 19 defensive rebounds against us. So the box out was huge. Just making sure that they didn't get those extra possessions where they could score again. But at the same time, you got to be tough to box out, and it's not easy. And there's a couple times where our team just let the ball hit the floor, and I just went berserk, and that's probably why I don't have a voice, because I'm like, go get the ball. But yeah, again, it was a really good weekend.
That is somewhat a product of being in the right position defensively, right?
Mhm.
All 3 games, you hold your opponent under 60 points.
Yeah.
To have your defense there right away.
Yes.
How helpful is that, and probably led to a couple wins at least.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, we were really focusing on defense. Again, that last week, knowing that we're playing against these really good competitions. And even the first game, I think they shot 45% from the floor. They knocked down shots. And Gannon obviously is a really good shooting team, and I think they ended up with 14 assists too. They were catch and shoot. So our defense was huge. Being in the right position. But again, we had the depth, which I think was the best part of the 3 games, because you got to have your bench play some quality minutes. Sid was player of the game our first game, and she came in just firing off the bench. It was awesome. And then JC was a player of the game, and then AP, Addie, did a great job that 3rd game. But it's the depth. It's the different people. Sarah Newcomer, she is a player and people know that, so they were really focusing on her, and then we got other people that are stepping up and doing the job. But defensively, I'm a defensive coach. I loved it, when you can stop Gannon, who's a high offensive powerhouse team, our defense. But again, it's like everybody who's on the bench, I mean, every day they're guarding Sarah and JC in practice, and I'm like, that helps us because that's what we're guarding when they're out there playing, which really showed, I think, against Gannon, but the other two games as well.
What are some of the things you may be looking to clean up defensively heading into this week?
Well, there's actually a lot of it still that we are doing, but it's just, just sharpening up things and just getting a little bit better and a little bit more consistent with what we're doing and not having the big kind of gaps, whether it was offensively or defensively, letting them, control their runs a little bit better. And still focusing on rebounding. That's going to be a focus for us all year when we don't have the height and the size that we have. But it's our guards getting in there and swiping up those long rebounds too. And then I think offensively too there's some things we got to figure out and some things we got to fix a little bit. But we're shooting the ball pretty good from beyond the arc, and the right people are shooting at the right times, and it's been really fun to see. I mean, CJ hit some back-to-back big-time threes when they're going underneath some screens for her, and she's a super senior, and she's not scared. I mean, it's literally everybody who's contributing in a different way, which is going to help us.
JC takes good chunkier threes. Just
Yeah.
How does that go with you, whether it's before a game or in games, and keep shooting the three and just helping her pick her spots that she's taking the best shot. Sometimes it's a three, right? Sometimes it's going to the rim. Just how do you work with her on getting the best shot possible, whether it's a three or not?
She's got a green light. If she touches the ball, she can let it fly from wherever. It doesn't matter to me. And there's a couple times where, you're kind of like, oh, we probably didn't need that. But the confidence that she has to shoot the ball and to knock them down is huge. But the other part of it, too, is she puts in so much time and work outside of just practice. I mean, she's constantly in the gym. She's one of those players that I got to be like, hey, rest. But she wants to score. She knows she's got to do that for us to win. And the other part too, I mean, Sarah too, they both got the green light, and I think everybody knows that, right? Like, they're going to get keyed on this year, and that's why it's important. We got the pieces around them that, hey, you guys all got to step up and contribute. But yeah, Jason and Sarah, they both got that green light whenever they want to let it go. We're okay with it.
Let's talk about Upper Iowa and Lewis. I know it's one game at a time, but
Yep.
your early scouting report on both teams, because I know you're looking at them.
We're looking at them, and we don't find a whole lot because there's not a whole lot out there right now. So we're looking at a lot of
You've played
stuff
them in the past, and you've seen film from.
from last year. Yeah, that's really what we're focusing on. Upper Iowa, they're going to be coming in. They're from the GLVC. Both teams are. Lewis is, I think, third in their seeding for their conference right now. It's one game at a time. We're still, again, focusing on us, just like we did going into this last weekend. We gotta make sure that we got our stuff right first before we start worrying about these other teams, and before we start throwing a whole bunch of stuff at our players right now. So really, it's just. Yeah, they're going to be coming in. They're going to be coming at us. They have 3 games on us. They're going to know us inside and out of what we can do, and we still just got to be a little bit better at what we're doing. And our focus is just to take care of NMU and make sure that we're doing things that we want to be doing on the court.
Last year, you guys got a taste of the Dells. For this particular week, and the year before, you played there in December. I guess take us to the Dells, and you're home away from home, playing at Just a Game Fieldhouse.
Oh yeah, we got some more players too that we added from Wisconsin, obviously, that are freshmen that are coming in. So it's always a fun environment. It's again, home away from home for sure. We got some people that are nice and close too that are going to be bringing a lot of fans and a lot of family. We actually traveled really well this last weekend too out in Pennsylvania because they knew they were getting multiple games. So our families have been traveling with us. It's been awesome. We had a couple alumni from Ohio and from Pennsylvania who came out and supported us. And I know we're going to have that down in Wisconsin too. And that's kind of why we play in the Dells. It's like a home game for us. And playing back-to-back with the men, it's fun to do, It's kind of like a home game. So it's exciting, and Wisconsin always treats us well. So we're going to keep going down there as much as we can.
Is there at the water slides or we stay?
We are not staying at the water slide. There's no water park for us. We go on our business trips, and it's straight business. But at the same time, no, they'll have plenty of time to be with their family and hang out too, which is fun. It's a great environment, and the Dells is always a great time.